accompanied by Mr. Matt Day, wherever you are. Okay, on the outside. I'm cheating really, I have done this before. Welcome everyone to this happy and long-awaited day. I can't believe we finally got here. I'd like to kick off by thanking everyone for coming, and also for some fabulous speeches. I knew the Green speech would be a tough act to follow. I was proved 100% right. I couldn't follow any of it. Well, what are the chances of us turning up in the exact same outfit? A bit annoyed, if I'm honest. That's the last time I go clothes shopping in Asda. Thanks to Dad for that one. As you may have guessed by now, I have the honour of being Kevin's best man. An obvious choice, really. Kevin always said he wanted his oldest and closest friend on the job, and I ticked both boxes. I'm the wrong side of 35. I also live just around the corner. So that's a win-win. So what can I say about a man from relatively humble South Coast beginnings who's worked his way up into a highly qualified professional, popular, and yet universally respected by his peers in equal measure? But enough about me. I must say I'm genuinely very proud to be standing here today, albeit a bit daunted too because of the frankly somewhat onerous duties that Kevin has bestowed upon me. He's been quite demanding, if I'm honest. Apparently the official definition of a good accountant is someone who solves a problem you didn't know you had in a way you don't understand. On that note, a few weeks ago, I received on a group email from Kevin a checklist of everything that he wanted me to do today. I think my favourite line of it was, generally, Pike wanders around being the best of the groomsmen. It's the word wanders that I particularly like. So now you know why I probably look like I've been rushed off my feet all day. The wandering really takes it out of you. I first met Kevin at sixth form college. I was a year above him, but socially inept, so we got on famously. I'm sure this will shock a lot of you looking at us now, but we belong to what you might call the maths geeks. But it wasn't all hard work. We played hard as well, mostly chess, which Kevin's annoyingly good at. I have nothing particularly amusing to say about this, except that he can get all his moves done in less than 5 minutes. And if you ask him nicely, apparently he'll even do it blindfold. He's also quite good at chess. There's a couple of small incidents that I shared with Kevin, which probably don't amount to much, but they are rather succinct metaphors for our relationship. The first was when we were teenagers down in Bexhill, and we'd been out in a group in the pub one Saturday night. It must have got pretty late for us. It might even have been as late as 10:30. And so it was time to go home. Kevin and I decided that we were in a hurry, so it'd be sensible to jog home. Anyway, the sight of two 19-year-old youths running after closing time quickly aroused the attention of the local constabulary, who stopped us and politely inquired as to our objectives for this fine evening, or words to that effect. Happily, they sent us on our way as soon as we explained that we were running home so as not to miss the start of match of the day. I think that must have been during one of our crazier hell-raising phases. Back then we used to spend most of our time like that, sitting around, drinking beer, listening to mediocre indie, watching football, and playing pool at the wheat sheaf. The rest of the time we just squandered. Our friendship was helped by Kevin getting on rather famously with my parents, and only partially because Dad believes Kevin is Chelsea's lucky mascot. By the way, if you find there's a recurring theme of football in the speech, blame the groom. I barely watch the stuff, but I pretend to like it just to see something of it. In a second incident, we'd both been looking forward all week to a big match between our two teams in the Champions League. Now, straight away, the fact that one of those happens to be Liverpool tells you this is quite an old story. Anyway, Kev suggested that we should watch the match at Ryan's so we could fit in a few frames at half-time. We got to the club a few minutes before kick-off, and as you do, ordered a 4-pint pitcher of lager and a couple of cheeseburgers and chips. Shortly after, our waitress brought us over a nice foaming jug of lager and 2 large plates of food. This was going swimmingly, whereupon Kev politely inquired if they could switch over to football now, as kick-off was only 2 minutes away. Now it was at this point that the waitress looked slightly sheepish and replied that they had cancelled the Sky subscription the month before. So we looked at each other, and then we looked at our watches, and then down at the table, which were heaving with about 20 quid's worth of beer and burgers, and with 2 minutes to go before the biggest game of the season for both our teams, and freaking Emmerdale being pumped out in surround sound on the big screen. So we said, what should we do? Do we stay and inevitably miss some of the match? Or do we get up and leave and abandon untouched our dinners and 4 freshly poured pints? And so, accompanied by a jukebox soundtrack of The Clash, probably, we decided to do the only thing that 2 self-respecting Chelsea and Liverpool fans could do. We stayed. We drank the lager and we ate the food. And after we had drained the pitcher of lager and polished off burger and chips twice, we got up and walked to the nearest pub. And when we got there, we realised we had definitely made the right decision. Because amazingly, absolutely nothing important had happened in the 3 minutes of the match that we'd missed. I'm glad you got that one. In all the time we've known each other, I honestly cannot recall ever having had a proper argument with the group, although there's still time tonight, I'm sure. We have a similar outlook, and we seem to agree on most of the important things in life. For instance, I've lost count of the number of Saturday mornings when I've been woken by a text listing his Premier League predictions. They're usually pretty much the same as mine. We also generally agree on more trivial issues, such as politics, religion and culture. For example, the morning after another stag night about a month ago, while I was comatose on a hotel bed, Kevin, somewhat optimistically, attempted to solicit my views on the Syrian crisis. As I'm sure he will clearly recall, my response was roughly along the lines that the Franco-British favoured policy of backing the anti-Assad rebels merely represented the logical extension of Gilpin's realist theory of international relations and foreign policy in the independent world. That was certainly the gist. I think it would only be fair at this juncture to admit that I've spent a fair amount of my life around at Kevin's house, enjoying myself. Sometimes he's there too. When he's away, I have my own set of keys, just in case the plants need watering or Sky Sports need watching. It's amazing how often this is the case. Those are some thirsty plants, especially during football season. Inevitably, football also played some part when I first met Katie down in London 4 years ago. In fact, it was on January 25th, 2009, so research. If you remember, we all watched the Merseyside derby together in the pub near Victoria Station. Except you two didn't, really. You seemed rather preoccupied with each other. To be honest, I've not been able to watch a wildlife documentary ever since. Ever since that afternoon, Katie and I have always got on rather well. They had an unspoken understanding